If you change your move, and I change mine, and we keep changing until neither of us can do better by changing alone, that's the quiet point where chaos settles. Economists now call it Nash equilibrium. He was a grad student in a cold Princeton winter when he wrote it down, a line that would redraw economics, strategy, even how we love and fight. This isn't a story about numbers. It's about choices that lock together on highways, in markets, in marriages, and in nations. And about a mind that nearly shattered, then returned with something to teach us about playing the long game together. Princeton, late 1940s. John Nash is 20, brilliant and difficult to categorize, too original for easy praise, too blunt for polite rooms. He speaks in fragments that feel like cliff edges, then leaps across them with a proof. He isn't interested in solving someone else's famous problem. He wants to author a new one. In the chalk-dusted quiet of Fine Hall, he studies a question that is less about math than about people. If everyone in a conflict is smart and self-interested, where does the situation settle? Classical economics loved the tidy world where a single price clears a market. But in most of life, outcomes are made by interacting decisions. I submit a price because I predict yours. You change yours because you predict mine. So Nash imagines a condition, a profile of strategies where each person's choice is a best reply to the others. Change alone, and you do worse. Change together, and you are in a different game. But right here, no one can unilaterally improve. It is not necessarily fair, not necessarily efficient, not necessarily kind. It is simply stable, and that stability has teeth. He writes the idea into a dissertation so spare and sharp, it feels like a knife. Few pages, a lifetime of applications. Not just bargaining, not just auctions, but traffic, tech pricing, viral attention, climate cooperation, dating apps, nuclear deterrence. A single condition with 1,000 faces. The first lesson is not to be clever, it's to be accurate. Most of our conflicts hurt because we missee the game. We assume we're alone when we are interdependent. We assume the other side will hold still while we optimize. Nash says, look again. The payoff depends on what others do. What they do depends on what they think you will do. What you do depends on what you think they think you will do. If that sounds dizzying, the cure is not bravado, it's clarity. Take the prisoner's dilemma. Two people can keep silent and both go lightly punished her. Each can betray to go free while the other falls hard. Rational egoists, fearing the other's betrayal, betray first. The equilibrium is mutual betrayals, stable, miserable, and familiar. Now, shift to the stag hunt. Two hunters can coordinate for a deer or solo a rabbit. If you expect me to hunt deer, hunting deer is your best reply. If you expect me to chase rabbits, rabbits look safer. There are two equilibria here, one timid and one generous, both stable because of expectations. What changes everything is beliefs. Many games of life, teams, partnerships, communities, the higher equilibrium appears only if we expect it of each other. That is not magical thinking. It's a coordination fact. We do not rise by speeches alone. We rise by credible signals that make trust the best reply. The founder who takes a pay cut first, making sacrifice everyone's best reply. The partner who overcommunicates goals, making alignment each person's best reply. The driver who signals early and yields cleanly, making cooperation everyone's best reply. Strategy is not a solo act, it's choreography. Before you choose a move, ask 3 questions. What game is this? What do the others believe I will do? What one signal would make the better equilibrium their best reply? Sometimes that signal is a rule, a contract, a public commitment. Sometimes it's steady behavior that makes your plan predictable. You're not manipulating. You're clarifying the shared map so the good outcome becomes self-enforcing. Nash equilibrium can trap us in bad stability. The way out is institutional. Change the rules so good behavior becomes each person's best reply. That is the point of commitments. A budget, a do not disturb block on your phone. It's an automatic 5% diverted to savings. An emissions standard across an industry. These are not moral diaries. They are game redesign. Consider traffic again. When there is no roundabout, merging is a snarl of guesses. Install a clear circle with right-of-way rules, and suddenly the best reply is to yield because others will too. The new rule doesn't make us saints. It makes cooperation cheaper than collision. In a company, a simple rule write decisions, and owner turns blame games into clarity. Because the best reply to transparency is preparation. In competitive markets, two firms undercut each other until both bleed. Credible commitment to value over discounts, a price match guarantee, or a loyalty plan can move the game to steadier ground. You don't exit competition, you stabilize it, where everyone can breathe, innovate, and still win customers. The goal is not collusion, it is to compete on a better axis. At home and at work, don't preach your way to virtue, design your way to it. Visibility, defaults, and simple shared rules push us toward the better equilibrium with less drama. Ask what one change would make the good behavior the easiest reply for everyone here. Nash's life doesn't stay on the chalkboard. In the late 1950s, delusions begin to fracture his days. He is hospitalized, he wanders, he resigns positions. Brilliant papers give way to long silences, and friends watch with the helplessness of people who can't out-reason an illness. For decades, the man who formalized equilibrium fights for one in his own mind. Then slowly he returns. Not to the same person, not by magic, and not as the movie would tidy it, but through years of quieting the false signals and strengthening the real ones. He audits classes, he speaks carefully. He lets colleagues re-enter as best replies, not as threats. In 1994, he receives the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences, shared with Reinhard Selten and John Harsenot, for a single trick, but for a way of seeing interdependence. The third lesson is humility, edged with hope. Our models are strong, our minds are fragile. Our communities are the scaffolds that let us keep building. Complexity will outgrow your first plan. People will surprise you. Systems will drift. The fix is iteration with kindness. Keep updating beliefs. Keep signaling cooperatively. Keep redesigning rules so the better world remains each person's best reply. When your project stalls, don't double the speech. Shorten the loop. Update assumptions out loud. Change the rule that's making sabotage rational. Praise the first mover who makes trust cheap again. Sometimes balance is found not by pushing harder, but by relaxing into patterns that carry you a daily meeting. A shared doc, a no-blame, post-mortem, a neighborhood text tree. On the macro scale, agreements that make it optimal for each country to keep commitments. On the micro, a bedtime routine that makes tomorrow kinder for everyone in your house. The math is the same. Make the good future the easiest answer to the question, what should I do now? Nash didn't promise harmony. He described the point where a unilateral change stops paying. He named a balance we already live inside, often without noticing. When you can't improve by changing alone, you need to change together, or change the rules until the better world becomes stable. It's a way to steer a life. See the game you're in. Send the signal that lifts expectations. The commitments that lock in the better reply. And when complexity breaks your plan, hold humility and hope long enough to find a new balance. You choose this at dinner tables and in boardrooms, at intersections and in treaties, in apologies and in prices. Winning alone is cheap victory. Winning with is durable. A blackboard in winter. A few pages of math. A lifetime of practice. Look with clarity, design with care, and meet each other at the point where changing alone stops paying. That is where better lives begin.